right, so yeah, well, I'm really excited to be here. I imagine everyone in the audience, or at least a fraction of you guys, is saying, what the hell is this guy going to talk about? Well, I promise you it's not going to be as salacious as the title would suggest, but we are going to try to have some fun here for the next 20 minutes. So I thought what I would do is first just give you a little more background about myself, who I am. I'm going to be here, we're all going to be here for the next 24, 36 hours, so hopefully as I go through this, maybe it even sparks some conversation later on tonight. I don't know, maybe even at the Bret Michaels party, for example. And what better way to do that than on a map of America, unless you're from Europe and you're not from America. So let's start right in the beginning. And see, already getting some reaction. So I was born in Iowa to two Hawkeye parents. All right, we got some Iowa fans. Cool, we're loosening up on a Monday morning. My parents did what many people who lived in Iowa did in the 1970s. They got the hell out. And they moved to Arizona. So believe it or not, I actually grew up just a few miles down the road in Tempe. So I spent all of my formative years here in Arizona. It feels good to be back home. After high school, I went to college out in the Bay Area. And then after college, I took my first job in retail at the Gap. So I cut my teeth in specialty apparel at the Gap, doing mainly supply chain functions, inventory planning and allocation. I spent about 4 years there, and then I went to business school. And while I was in business school, I made the determination that I wanted to get back into retail. I loved retail because of how fast-paced it was, how close to the consumer you could be. And at the time, I had never been in merchandising. And I believed then, I don't believe this as much now, but I believe buying and actually store operations were the epicenters of how a retail operation works. And so I was fortunate enough to get a job with Target out in Minneapolis. So in 2005, I moved out to Minneapolis, convinced my girlfriend at the time to go out with me. I don't know how I did that. And I took my first job, and it was in seasonal bath and rugs. So yes, I started in seasonal bath and rugs, so it's all things kitschy. It's all the things right now, like Santa Claus hand towels, pumpkin-shaped doormats. I like to joke that it was my grandmother's favorite job that I ever had. I did a number of different things. I ended up running the baby department. I ran frozen food for a little bit of time. But the next most important thing you need to know about me actually occurred in 2007. I met my wife on a trip to Las Vegas. Yeah, I see that look on your face. That's a story definitely for later tonight, but what you do need to know is that we started dating long distance, and we actually got married long distance. And in 2011, I think, 2011, we moved to Colorado to be together. My wife got a great job offer in Boulder, Colorado, captured perfectly by the hippie bus in the photograph if you've ever been there. And I told Target at the time, I said, look, I gotta go be with my wife. I gotta go start my family. And Target was awesome. They said, hey, why don't you go out and run stores? So like I said before, stores are an important part of retail operations, so I jumped at the chance. I ended up running my own, Ended up running my own store for a little bit of time, just outside of Boulder, and then I took over a district of stores spread across the glamorous states of northern Colorado, Wyoming, Nebraska, and South Dakota. I saw some of America's heartland. I was in my car 30,000 miles a year. I was a 34-year-old MBA, bagging groceries, pulling freight off a truck. I was even running security Black Friday at Cheyenne, Wyoming. But I got to see retail from an entirely different point of view. And it was probably the single best decision I've ever made in my career. And you're going to see that as we go through. And it's probably one of the big reasons I'm here today. So from then, things didn't work out for us as we had thought in Colorado. And we actually moved back to Minneapolis. So as this was going on, I called Target up and I said, hey, look, I can kind of see what's going on with technology here. I'd like to try my hand at e-commerce. And so based on my reputation, they made me the vice president of home furnishings on Target.com. I had no e-com experience whatsoever at this time. Target was just coming off the Amazon platform. Things were a little bit rough. But I actually 100% fell in love with the job. So I liked how fast-paced retail was, how close to the consumer. But in e-commerce, it's even more so. It's like everything's on steroids, and I absolutely loved it and had a tremendous amount of success. I ultimately became Target's first omni-channel merchant, running both the stores and the .com at the same time. And then I capped it all off with, as Michael mentioned, and you can see it here captured by the DeLorean, heading up a project called the Store of the Future.